Testing,
Hello,
testing.
ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. This is HD's Starcraft, and I'm here for another Heart of the Swarm broadcast. And today I'm going to be doing a Terran versus Zerg, and this is going to be from the ZvT Cup. I believe 153 or 154. Not too sure exactly on the number, but this is the grand finals of that ZvT Cup. And this has been a series that I've been wanting to do for some time, but I haven't gotten around to doing it. So here we go. It is going to be the Terran player in the bottom right hand corner, and his name is Polt. He is in the red color, and in the top left hand corner of the map he has his opponent. It is going to be Liquid Snute, and Snute is a Norwegian Zerg player who has been an up and rising star, very talented Zerg, and this promises to be a good Terran versus Zerg. I think the map is of course Akalon Waste, one of the desert maps available here in HOTS. As you guys all know, Blizzard has been saying that there's going to be a lot of changes coming out in the near future. On top of that, DreamHack Summer just finished up, and I don't want to spoil the results for you guys. But I'm sure Blizzard was watching that tournament quite intently, and they'll be basing some of their balance decisions on that. But I know for sure that they are thinking about nerfing the Hellbat a little bit, and that is going to be a pretty big change, because right now Terrans and their ability to drop Hellbats inside of someone's base, it's probably one of the most dangerous things, and you don't really want to deal with that. So Hellbats are going to be getting a little bit of a nerf. As far as that goes, I think that's totally fine. So we'll be seeing. I don't want to talk too much about potential balance changes or anything like that, because you know, things are gonna change. Obviously, the changes will change themselves. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into this game. Probably, I don't even know if we will see Hellbats. First of all, Polt is the kind of player who can play any style, from what I've seen. He does like his bio. He definitely can play mech as well. So we could see a combination of things. Although Hellbats, I think, you know, their popularity is definitely at an all-time high. So if Polt decides to use Hellbats, wouldn't surprise me at all. Snute here in the top left-hand corner. I don't know too much about his playstyle. I know against Protoss, he likes to punish the early Forge Fast Expanders by actually sneaking into the gold expansion with a quick hatchery, and then going for like an eco Baneling bust. But against Terran, I'm not too familiar with his strats. But you know, regardless, I think we'll be up for a good game here. It's always fun to see new players on my channel that I haven't casted before. So Snute here, bringing out 6 Zerglings down to the bottom. It looks like he wants to go ahead and control the Xel'Naga towers. And no, is actually gonna. Nope, I think he's gonna send 1 over there. And no, he's gonna go ahead and just straight bypass it. So kind of interesting. Usually Zergs will opt to leave 1 Zergling there, but to be honest with you guys, there isn't much to be seen with this tower. The towers that are originally in the middle here were way more valuable, so I can totally see why he decided to leave the tower alone. And it looks like he is going to get his Zerglings into the natural expansion where there is a command center being built, but I highly doubt Polt is just going to let this go down. He's probably going to, well, I don't know, actually. It's taking quite a bit of damage already, and of course his Reaper, his first initial unit, was on the other side of the map, so the SCV is going to get taken out, and the command center could actually go down here, although a lot of SCVs are coming off the CC now, and now being distracted by all those space construction vehicles. So Polt does keep the CC alive, but he loses a lot of mining time for that. I think he pulled like 6 workers, and even though he only lost 1, he did lose probably about 100 to 150 minerals worth of money, which is about how much those Zerglings cost. So I think overall, it's a pretty close game right now, and Polt still has that Reaper alive, so I can definitely go around the Zerg natural and main, and maybe he can even out the odds even more by picking off a drone or 2. And you can see that that Reaper is on it's on firing duty right now, but unfortunately the Reapers nowadays, they don't do too much damage. They only do like 5, so it kind of tickles the drone. And it takes quite a few shots to actually kill them off. It's more of a scouting unit now than anything else. And right now we do have a couple more gases being added on for Liquid Snute. And I'm really curious, what is Snute's late game ZvT like? Does he favor Muta Baneling, which is kind of the old school style? Does he like Infestor, which is kind of the Wings of Liberty style, if you will, Infestor Zergling? Or does he like Swarm Hosts and Roaches and Hydras, which is more of like the new up-and-coming Heart of the Swarm style? Of course, Roach Hydra is typically better when your Terran opponent goes mech, But it can also work, I think, against Bio if you mix in some Banelings, and, you know, if you maybe even add in some Vipers for Blinding Cloud. But nevertheless, we will see what happens here. It looks like this hatchery is going to take a little bit of damage as Polt has brought 2 Hellions and a Reaper. They are parked there, taking shots off on that hatchery, and more Hellions are coming in here, but it looks like Polt is not going to commit to taking out that hatch, which is a little surprising to me. With the 2 more Hellions he's got coming in, I certainly feel like he's got enough firepower to whittle it down, but it looks like he's just going to opt to stay outside the natural right now, and really I think it's a lost opportunity. He should be attacking this hatchery, but I think he might be concerned about possibly being surrounded by a ton of units with the creep out here, so that might be why he's pulled him out, just to be safe rather than sorry. Viking has come out onto the map. It is going to pick off this Overlord, and looks like we have Stim Pack on the way right now from Polt, so he will be going for biological forces with Stim. Doesn't necessarily mean that we won't be seeing any mech. Typically biomech is you know, a mixture of both is the prevalent style to play Terran versus Zerg. Roach speed is on the way with a couple of roaches. Here comes some more barracks being added on the factory. There is a macro CC in the base for Polt, so Polt is looking pretty good right now, ladies and gentlemen. Surprisingly, still Snute, you know, he has not actually made any units besides those roaches just right now. So during that entire time that Polt was concerned about having his forces surrounded, he could have probably taken out this hatchery. And I think Snute here is pretty lucky that Polt didn't go for that hatchery, because you can see now the roaches are just coming out. The firepower of those Reapers and Hellions certainly would have been able to kill it off or force, you know, units to come out, thereby, you know, distracting Snute. So I think Polt with a missed opportunity. And now he does see that there are roaches coming out from Snute, so he can go ahead and add in units that he feels like are best, and he is going to be throwing in a Marauder and a couple of Widow Mines. And Widow Mines are fairly good against roaches because the splash damage they do, the target fire, they don't necessarily kill a roach, but they whittle it down to the point where your bio can take it out very easily. So a couple of Widow Mines in your army are never a bad idea. And here comes Snute right now, coming through the middle. Actually, the roaches aren't quite as quick as the Hellions are. That's because Zerg have not yet invented the wheel. But the Hellions are going to, they are going to be able to actually just go right around right away and get out of there. So there they go. And achievements once again are further disabled. I have no idea why my BattleNet does that. But hopefully I'll still be able to continue casting. One more Overlord has gone down. Right now it's still a pretty passive game, but you know, when you have players of this caliber, you tend to expect that you want to see a late game between these two, because that's going to test their skills and their strategy, their ability to multitask in Starcraft, you know, to the utmost, their utmost abilities. So that's what I'm looking forward to seeing here. The rocks have been destroyed, which will protect this hatchery by ground, but not necessarily by air. And Polt right now is clearing the airways with this Viking, and he now knows that there are no Overlords back here, so he can definitely bring a couple medevacs to try to drop. But it looks like he is going to bring his ground troops over here with medevac support in the skies. We do have a ton of upgrades for the Zerg side coming. Baneling Nest, Infestation Pit has finished, so Pathogen Glands is on the way, as well as 2-2 for both armies. Hive is coming up as well for Snute. And so he is adding in Banelings at this moment in time, ladies and gentlemen. And I like that because, you know, remember I said Roaches and Hydras, I think they're better against Terran Metal. But against Bio, I think if you're gonna play against Bio, you do still need to go Banelings. Infestors are obviously very good against Bio as well. So what we have here is Snute going with a Zergling, Baneling, and backup Spellcaster as Infestors. And this army is just perfect to dealing with what Polt has right now. And Polt is, you know, he does have some Widow Mines though, and that is also the perfect counter to Zerglings and Banelings. So we have a bit of an evolution here in Polt's strategy, and I like what he's got here. He's going to put the Widow Mines down on the high ground. He needs to burrow them now. They take a few seconds to go down, and they are underground, and wow, it looks like Snute there just barely dodging death. I mean, if he had just been a few ticks closer, he would have lost all of his Banelings, I'm sure, and it looks like now we can see that both sides are now vying for control. Meanwhile, some Zerglings and Roaches trying to punch through the front door, but are immediately rejected, and now Snute is sending in big packs of Zerglings to try to detonate these Widow Mines, and now that the minefield is cleared, he's bringing in his Banelings, but Polt's micro against Banelings is notorious, but it looks like this time around he backed himself into a wall, so he just evacuates with the Medivacs and gets the hell out of there, and Overseer's overhead will provide the vision necessary for Snute to take out those Widow Mines. So I think Snute there with a territorial victory, basically regaining the high ground here, which will allow him access to more expansions, but Polt hasn't given up yet. He's bringing in his Marines, and whoa, that was pretty risky. He didn't even move those Marines. He just told them, stand your ground. And that is exactly what they did. Very brave. Well, I guess you can be brave. You can afford to be when you're a Marine in Polt's army. Don't forget, guys, he was the first player on Team Prime to be called Optimus. So, you know, it is Optimus here in sheep's clothing. But here we go. We do have some Marines coming over to the new expansion up here at the 11 o'clock. But Zerg Force is already there, and they will force the evacuation of those troops. Drilling Claws is on the way. Ultralisk Cavern is on the way. Adrenal Glands and 3-3 for both armies. So we are rounding out the tech tree now for both sides, and this is exactly the kind of game you want to see when you have two players of this caliber against each other. I don't think I mentioned it enough, but Snute is very much on the same level as Polt. He is extremely good, and here we go. This is the battle we've been waiting for. It looks like Polt is getting overwhelmed though, and he is gonna have to pull back out of here. Too many Zerg units. There are Changelings, there are infested Terrans, there are all types of different Marines on the field here, not counting Polt's very own, and he will have to call a full retreat here as he brings his Medivacs out, but it looks like it was a distraction to land a couple of drop forces. He's gonna drop inside the main base, and this is exactly how good Terran players play. They distract the Zerg player, or maybe allow the Zerg player to think that he's won the battle, when in actuality they bring around these backside drops and look to do some damage. But unfortunately, Polt wasn't really able to get that much done over here. Units lost so far very, very close, and you can see, you know, all the tabs are pretty similar, but it's actually pretty hard to give it one way or the other. Maybe Polt is down by just a tad because he doesn't quite have the same surplus as Snute does. But you can never count Polt out of the game. His macro is legendary, and his anti-Baneling micro is like world class. So here we go. As Polt comes around to the bottom Zalnaga Tower, we have a little bit of a skirmish over here. The Crackling beats the Hellion. That's what happens when you use crack for Zerglings. Guys. And so Polt here over to the bottom left-hand corner. It looks like he was thinking about making another attack. One more medevac drop going over here to the top of the main base, but immediately pushed away by Cracklings. And those that medevac is going to have to get out of there. Definitely doesn't want to drop in that location. But I've got to say, this is interesting what army Polt is fielding right now. Instead of going for, oh, hold that thought, we have a lot of units coming in here from Snute. He's backed up with Ultralisk as well. Polt falling back, and Polt will have to burrow his Widow Mines. It looks like he gets him underground very quickly with the Drilling Claws upgrade, and the Drilling Claws allowing the Widow Mines to set up their position. Now Polt is on his mines, and he knows if this army comes in, all he has to do is just pull away from the mines and let the mines do most of the damage and then clean up. But a lot of Changelings being used here to clean the minefield, I suppose. Very smart play from Snute, although the thing is, the mines don't actually detonate on Changelings unless there's a Raven overhead or a Comsat used, I think. But here we go, the Zerg army coming in with all of these forces, and he's just gonna cream Polt's army on the ground. The Ultralisk never even got to see any action, but here comes some Cracklings, and they are going to stream right into the natural expansion, and Polt has to hold his ground here on the ramp. He's got to worry about these Ultralisks because the Ultralisk can do splash damage to his Marines, so he's focusing the Ultras down. Very smart play right here, and it looks like he will be able to control his side of the map, but in the meantime, on the top right-hand corner, the Orbital Command is pushed away. Vacancy as the infested Terrans come in, and they will actually, will they be able to kill some of these SCVs unless Polt comes back and to help those SCVs out? He might lose them, but it looks like he's on another job right now trying to kill off infestors. Meanwhile, SCVs are going down here in the top right-hand corner, and the medevacs eventually pull out these troops. Let me go ahead and take this second just to catch my breath and say, I don't think Comsat actually reveals Changelings, so Comsat wouldn't work. But a Raven actually would force the Widow Mines to detonate, I believe, on the Changelings. Or maybe, you know, I'm not entirely sure. I'm just so caught up in this game right now. But regardless, one thing for sure that I was going to say is, you know, Polt's army here, having Widow Mines mixed in, is very smart. It's just really good against the Zerglings and Banelings that Snute was fielding a few minutes ago. But now there are Ultralisks on the map. And Ultralisks, they absorb Widowmine shots like no other. So if Polt is going to win this game here, he might want to start adding in some more Marauders. Definitely thinking about going up to some Banshees wouldn't be a bad idea at all. But Widowmines now, they're not as effective, although he will still want some to help deal with the Zerglings and the Banelings. So this is a very interesting game so far. We do have another medevac coming in. Once again, the same medevac at 20 HP drops into the nook and cranny back here in the back of the expansion. Or the back of the main base, excuse me, but there is an Overlord there. And these, that Ultra is just going to scare those Marines away. Those Marines might want to change their underwear. And here comes Snute coming in with some more Ultras and Banelings. He's just camped outside of Polt's side of the map. Very interesting here. And here comes Snute. He's gonna go in with his Ultras first. He doesn't care if he takes damage on his Ultras from Widowmines. It doesn't even matter as long as he cleans them up so that the Zerglings and Banelings can flood on through. And that's exactly what he's gonna do. Meanwhile, a little bit of the army has gone to the north at the same time. Some of the army going over to this expansion, and a lot of SCVs and Banelings gonna go down. It looks like Polt will be able to hold on to the main base, which is great, and Polt also cleans up the army at the top. Polt, really nice play, basically splitting Snute's army into 3 different chunks and then microing it out, but he did lose all of his SCVs at that expansion, which is not good. At the very least, he will be able to take out one of Snute's hatcheries, and it looks like Snute right now is in full retreat. Wow, what a battle that was. That was incredible. For Polt, I think he lost a lot of SCVs, yes, but I think at the end of the day, he came out better on top of that engagement. He will be able to replenish those SCVs pretty quickly. Don't forget, he has another expansion down there. He's adding on more macro orbitals as well. So I think Polt came out a little bit better there. He is going to take out some of these Overlords, Overseers as well, forcing their cancellation. Got to be careful, those Marines, because on their backs are the rampaging Zerglings and Ultralisks, and those Marines are definitely going down. Some more Widowmines planting down in the middle of Aklon Waste here, just positioning and posturing against the Zerg army. Snute now going to try to use Overlords to clean up the minefield. How smart is that? Although he will put himself under supply, at least Overlords won't cost any chunk of his army, but there are more mines back here. The depth of the minefield is incredible, and so these Ultras, actually the Ultralists, they're taking the brunt of the damage. Lucky for Snute that his Cracklings did not get picked off. It looks like these 3 Ultras continuing to push their way in. In the meantime, were those Overlords, were there Overlords that flew back here? I'm not entirely sure. I don't think so, but a lot of Corruptors are coming in here, and more SCVs going down. There's a pack of Marines hiding in the back corner right here, but all the SCVs at that expansion have fallen. 32 SCVs in total, and now the Corruptor's gonna clean up this orbital command. Big plays here by Liquid Snute. That orbital will go down. Widowmines continuing to detonate over the Zerg army. Orbital has dropped, and a new Ultra is just walking right into the death field, the minefield right there, and the mines are just continuously detonating. Polt is going to keep his army alive, and he survives. He survives to tell his children and their grandchildren about the day that he held the fortress against the Zerg player. Although I guess holding the fortress is a bit optimistic because he did lose one of his expansions, but you know, it's a peripheral expansion. He has another one just over here, and he can certainly refortify, resaturate that very quickly. And if you look at the units lost tab, he has lost far less than Snute has. So while he loses an expansion and he loses a ton of SCVs, if you think about it, you know, he's really not that far behind, if behind at all. I think he's doing just fine. He will need to make some more SCVs and, you know, replenish that number, because 40 to 78 is it's a little low, but he has certainly enough orbital commands to do that. I'd like to see him start to build SCVs right now on that production tab, but it looks like he's focused on this attack. He does have Ravens with his army right now, so I guess we'll find out if Ravens do in fact detect changelings for the Widowmines. I'm surprised. I should know that, but I've never really seen it in actuality happen. But here we go. Liquid Snute coming in with some infested Terrans. There are secret missiles being used, targeting down the infestors, and they are going to take them out. Very nice play with those Ravens, and these Ravens are just continuing to pop off infestors by using their secret missiles. Very nice play, and Polt basically getting a bunch of kills on high gas units for essentially free, and now he's just going to run the gauntlet, retreating his Marines and his Marauders through the minefield. And now that the Ultras do not have any more backup, they have to run away. Yeah, they can take a bunch of mine shots, but they cannot fight against these Marauders and Marines. Marines, although by using fungal growth, that could even the odds a little bit. Oh, but that minefield gets the last laugh. That Widow Mine gets the last laugh, taking out the Ultralisk, and Polt now threatening to take out this hatchery. Snute has to reinforce this location. Unfortunately for both players, they are running pretty low on money right now. Still surprised that Polt hasn't brought a lot of SCVs over here. You know, he's only got 40, so I think he's just now starting to realize, hey, I need some money. I'm out of SCVs, so he's starting to build more SCVs as we speak. And in the meantime, it looks like Polt now thinking about making an attack here, bringing a ton of Marines in. Don't forget, guys, both armies are maxed out at 3 upgrades apiece. A lot of Marauders here. Banelings coming in. Banelings just fresh out of the hatchery, out of the larvae, and the Banelings are now going to roll in on these Marines. Look at how there's an expansion right here, just to the south of that Zerg hatchery, but these Banelings are going to make sure that these SCVs and mules remember who owns this land, and that is the Zerg, and the Ultras are going to come in and capitalize on that fact. It looks like the PF is going downtown, and these Marines, Polt was not able to hold on to this expansion, although in all honesty, this is rightfully so the Zerg's expansion and not the Terrans. So Polt, I think, may have been a bit optimistic there, was trying to, I guess, hopefully end the game on his terms, you know, in the next few minutes by expanding right next door to the Zerg hatchery. And while it was quite bold, unfortunately for him, it didn't work out, but it looks like he hasn't given up yet. He's launching another attack, more Widow Mines, Ravens, and Marines on the way, and how is Snute gonna hold this off? He doesn't really have that many troops remaining. He's only at 143 supply. He's going to have to call on all of his reinforcements here to deal with this, and Widow Mines, ladies and gentlemen, in the late game, they're just so good. They're extremely cost effective because they're a unit that constantly does damage for free. How is Snute gonna deal with this? Don't forget, Ravens and their secret missiles are also a unit that continuously does damage for free. So Polt is playing a very cost effective army here, and look at these Ultras that just continue to run the gauntlet, and they cannot survive that many mine shots. So Snute, I think in the late game, one of the ways maybe to combat, you know, this type of army, you've got to start using cost-effective units, more infestors, more swarm hosts, or brood lords. Units like that, Ultralisks are great, but I think towards the very, very late of the game, they get really expensive for what they do, and what they do really is they're dying right now. They're not really able to do any damage, which means they're just not worth it. And you guys can see here these mines, as the minefield multiplies, you know, these Ultras and Zerglings are not doing so hot, but it looks like Snute might have bought himself a little bit more time here. He does have an Overseer overhead. He's going to clean up the minefield, so it's not entirely over yet. Meanwhile, drones are distance mining this expansion. One Marine's over there like, hey, get back here. He was a security guard set to patrol the minerals, but Polt is, yeah, he's not giving up, guys. He's bringing more reinforcements, and this could be the wave that does Snute in. I don't know if I mentioned this, guys, but this is a best of 5. This was the finals from the ZvT Cup, so I will be casting the entire best of 5 series. So incredible game so far. I think Polt might have it here, ladies and gentlemen. Just hold on to your pants. We'll see. I think he will be able to take out this hatchery, but it's going to be pretty close. One more Ultralisk coming in here, but you can see basically Snute is just running out of money, and he cannot continue to fund this war, and I think he will have to GG out as that hatchery goes down. That was pretty much the lifeblood there for Snute. That expansion in the bottom left-hand corner. So what a game by CM Storm Polt. Incredible Terran versus Zerg, 32 minutes long. I just, for the first time, took a glance down at the timer, but that is incredible. Very, very nice game by Polt. Expertly played, and, you know, very back and forth by both these sides. Well won, says Liquid Snute. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a best of 5. I will be going right on to game number 2. This will be the last set of games I cast before I head out to Las Vegas. So, yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy. Stay tuned for game 2. This is HD, signing out.